Focus, the hidden driver of excellence, by Daniel Goleman. Picture this scene. Beijing, 2008. The Olympic Stadium is absolutely buzzing with energy. Down on the track, an American runner named Lolo Jones is having the race of her life in the 100-meter hurdles. And she's not just winning, she's absolutely crushing it. She's sailing over each hurdle with this incredible rhythm that looks almost effortless. Pure power meeting perfect grace. The gold medal? It's practically already hanging around her neck. Everyone in the stadium can feel it. She can feel it. But then something happens. It starts small. Just a whisper of a thought slips into her mind. Later, she'd describe feeling like the hurdles were suddenly rushing at her too fast. And that one little thought opens the door for another. Don't get sloppy now. Watch your legs. Keep them snapping out. Everything falls apart in that instant. All that beautiful, flowing grace just vanishes. She's thinking about movements her body has done 1,000,000 times before. She's trying too hard, tensing up. And then, on the 9th hurdle out of 10, she clips it. The rhythm shatters. Lolo stumbles across the finish line in 7th place. That gold medal she could practically taste? Gone. She crumples onto the track, completely devastated. So what went wrong? She had the talent. She'd put in the training. What failed her was something much more fundamental, this invisible force that shapes literally everything we do. Her focus failed her. Welcome to the world Daniel Goleman explores in his game-changing book, Focus, the Hidden Driver of Excellence. You might know Goleman from his bestseller Emotional Intelligence, where he laid out the essential skills for success. Well, this book shows us how to actually build those skills. This isn't some simple pay attention better self-help book. Goleman takes us deep into how our minds actually work, exploring this subtle but powerful force that shapes our reality, influences our relationships, and ultimately determines what we leave behind. He lays out 3 types of focus: inner, other, and outer, and shows how mastering them can unlock a completely new level of excellence. By the time we're done here, you won't just understand this hidden driver. You'll have the keys to make it stronger, transforming distraction into direction and turning potential into real mastery. Let's kick things off with a beautifully simple idea. Goleman borrows from Yoda. Your focus is your reality. Whatever you're paying attention to right now in this exact moment, that's your world. Everything else, it basically doesn't exist. Think about it for a second. Right now, as you're listening to me, you're probably not noticing the hum of your fridge, or how your clothes feel against your skin, or those faint sounds drifting in from outside. Your brain is pulling off this quiet miracle, selecting one stream of information, these words, and pushing everything else into the shadows. That's what Goleman calls selective attention. He tells this great story about John Berger, a house detective at a fancy Manhattan department store. When you or I walk through that store, we see gorgeous displays and wandering shoppers. But John? He sees something completely different. His attention is like a spotlight, constantly sweeping for that one person in 50 who's not actually there to shop. He's hunting for pickpockets. All that glittering jewelry and designer merchandise? Invisible to him. He's laser-focused on subtle tells, a shifty glance, an awkward movement, the tiny signals that scream, thief. Just like John, we all have this spotlight of attention. But here's the problem. In today's world, that spotlight is under constant attack. Goleman paints this painfully familiar picture of modern life. A little girl, hugging her mom on a ferry, but mom doesn't even notice because she's glued to her iPad. A van full of sorority sisters, each one locked into their phone, sitting in complete silence. We've all witnessed this. We've all been that person. The cruel irony of our super-connected age is that we're paying more attention to our devices and less to the actual humans right in front of us. The result? What Goleman calls an impoverishment of attention. Our ability to have real conversations, to pick up on facial cues, to simply be present with another person, it's withering away. And it's not just wrecking our relationships, it's damaging our ability to think, learn, and create. Goleman shares this story from an 8th grade teacher who'd been assigning the classic book mythology for years. Her students always loved it. Then, a few years back, everything changed. Suddenly, students were complaining it was too hard, the sentences too complicated. She wondered if their minds, now trained on short text bursts and social media snippets, were losing the capacity for deep reading, that sustained concentration you need to really sink into complex ideas. So why is this happening? To understand the war for our attention, Goleman says we need to meet the two competing systems inside our own heads. He breaks the brain down into two fundamental parts, bottom up and top down. Think of bottom up as your autopilot. It's lightning fast, always running, powered by emotion, intuition, and habit. It's what lets you drive while planning your day, what makes you instantly turn when someone yells your name in a crowd. Ancient, powerful, reflexive. It operates from the older, more primitive brain regions. Top down, that's your inner CEO. Slower, deliberate, takes real effort. This is where your self-control lives, your willpower, your conscious focus. It's what helps you tackle a tough math problem, resist that second cookie, or engage in a meaningful conversation. It runs from the neocortex, the brain's newest, most sophisticated hardware. Every single moment is this invisible dance between these two systems. When you're lost in a great movie, your top-down is voluntarily steering your focus. When an ad for popcorn suddenly makes you hungry, your bottom-up just hijacked you. Here's the thing. Our bottom-up system is ridiculously easy to seduce. It's wired for survival and instant gratification, running from predators and towards sweet, calorie-rich food. In our modern world, advertisers and app designers have become absolute masters at gaming this system. They use emotional triggers, surprise, and promises of quick rewards to grab our focus, whether we want them to or not. That's why you feel this almost overwhelming urge to check your phone when it buzzes, even mid-conversation. Your bottom-up brain is screaming, "Danger! Opportunity! Check now!" while your top-down brain weakly protests, "This is actually kind of rude." Lolo Jones's story perfectly captures this conflict. For most of her race, she was running on beautifully trained autopilot. Her body knew exactly what to do. But when that tiny thought about getting sloppy crept in, her top-down CEO brain took over. It started micromanaging a process that was already working perfectly. And in that crucial moment, the interference destroyed everything. Goleman explains this is the universal recipe for screwing up, whether you're an Olympic athlete, a surgeon, or just trying to relax. The moment you start consciously thinking about something you've already mastered, you invite interference from top-down and performance tanks. That's why elite athletes talk about being in the zone. It's pure flow, where bottom-up is running the show and that analytical top-down mind finally shuts up. So if top-down focus can sabotage us and bottom-up is so easily distracted, how do we find balance? This brings us to the heart of Goleman's message, the leader's triple focus. To live a life of excellence, fulfillment, and real impact, he argues we need to master three distinct types of focus. First up, inner focus. This is your foundation. Self-awareness. The ability to turn that spotlight inward, to understand your own thoughts, feelings, and values. Without inner focus, you're basically rudderless, easily swayed by impulses and other people's opinions. George Lucas is the perfect example of someone guided by this inner rudder. After his first hit movie got butchered by studio interference, he faced a choice with Star Wars. The studio offered standard financing but wanted creative control. Every savvy Hollywood person told him to take the deal. But his gut said no. His artistic integrity mattered more. He risked everything, putting his own money in, nearly went broke. But he followed that gut feeling and created one of the most successful franchises ever. Inner focus isn't just about big decisions. It's the key to self-control. Goleman revisits that legendary study you've probably heard about, the marshmallow test. A researcher brings a 4-year-old into a room, puts a marshmallow in front of them, and says, "You can eat this now," or, "If you wait until I come back, you get 2." Some kids devoured it instantly. Others managed to wait the full, agonizing 15 minutes. How? The secret was what Goleman calls the strategic allocation of attention. The kids who succeeded didn't just stare at the marshmallow and try resisting. That's a losing battle. Instead, they distracted themselves, covered their eyes, sang songs, played pretend. They used their top-down executive focus to redirect attention away from that tempting, bottom-up lure. Decades later, researchers tracked these kids down. The results? Mind-blowing. The children who'd waited for that second marshmallow had higher test scores, more career success, better health, greater happiness. Their ability to manage their inner world, to control that fundamental battle between impulse and intention, had literally charted the course of their entire lives. Self-control isn't just a nice virtue, it's destiny. This brings us to the second type, other focus. Empathy. The ability to shine your spotlight on other people, to understand their world from the inside. Goleman breaks empathy into 3 distinct skills. First is cognitive empathy, understanding another person's perspective, seeing the world through their eyes, getting how they think. This is what great negotiators and managers do, communicate ideas in ways that actually land. Second is emotional empathy, actually feeling what another person feels. This is bottom up. When you see a friend's face light up with joy or crumple in sadness, your brain's mirror neurons fire, and you literally experience a shadow of their emotion. This is the foundation of rapport, of human connection, why we cry at movies, and why mothers instinctively feel their baby's distress. Goleman shares this fascinating study, where people listened to a gripping story. As they listened, their brain patterns started perfectly mirroring the storyteller's brain patterns. The more in sync their brains, the better they understood. This neural coupling is literally being on the same wavelength. The third type is empathic concern. This is where empathy becomes compassion. Not just understanding or feeling with someone, but actually caring and being moved to help. The Good Samaritan stopping for the injured stranger. The problem? Our shrinking attention span. As we get more self-absorbed and digitally distracted, our empathy capacity erodes. Goleman points to this troubling research on power and attention. Studies show the more powerful and wealthy people become, the less attention they pay to those below them. In experiments, wealthier people are worse at reading emotions in faces. They make less eye contact, interrupt more. It seems that as we become more insulated and less dependent on others, we can afford to pay less attention to their needs and feelings. Our other focus dims. He tells this powerful story from a Theater of the Oppressed workshop. A day laborer named Miguel, who'd been cheated out of wages, reenacted his story. Then a well-meaning woman from the audience jumped in to play his part, acting out how she'd have reasoned with the employer and demanded fairness. But for Miguel, an undocumented immigrant, that was pure fantasy. Seeing his own powerlessness reflected through someone with privilege made him weep. Maybe for the first time, he felt how truly invisible he was. The powerful often have a massive empathy blind spot for the reality of the powerless. The third and final type, outer focus. This is seeing the big picture, understanding the larger systems shaping our world. Goleman calls it systems awareness, the ability to spot hidden patterns and connections others miss. Our brains aren't naturally wired for this. We evolved to notice rustling bushes that might hide predators. We didn't evolve to sense gradual ozone depletion or the complex feedback loops creating traffic jams. These systems are largely invisible to our bottom-up survival-oriented brain. Goleman introduces us to Mau Piailug, the last master of ancient Polynesian Quote. Mao could navigate a canoe across thousands of miles of open ocean, from one tiny island to another, using only natural knowledge. He reads stars, ocean swells, bird flight patterns, water temperature like they were GPS. He held this incredibly complex mental model of the entire Pacific Ocean system in his head. His outer focus was almost superhuman. But most of us? We suffer from what Goleman calls system blindness. We see events but miss the underlying structures causing them. We blame traffic on other drivers, not flawed highway design and urban sprawl. This blindness becomes dangerous with what experts call super wicked problems, like climate change. It's odorless, tasteless, invisible. Our amygdala, our threat detector, doesn't fire. The danger feels abstract and distant, so we don't act with appropriate urgency. This is where great leadership enters. The most effective leaders master outer focus. They're systems thinkers. They don't just solve today's problem, they see how it connects to larger forces. When Steve Jobs returned to a struggling Apple in 1997, he saw a company drowning in too many products. His strategy? Brutally simple. Focus. He cut the product line to just 4 items. He saw the larger system of what customers actually wanted, simplicity and elegance, and directed the entire organization's attention there. In contrast, the leaders at Research in Motion, makers of BlackBerry, were brilliant at their craft. They'd perfected their system of secure emails and long battery life. But they were so internally focused, they missed the massive systemic shift happening around them. The iPhone, touchscreens, the app economy. Their lack of outer focus destroyed them. So how do we get better at all this? How do we strengthen these 3 attention muscles? Enter smart practice. Goleman dismantles the popular myth of the 10,000-hour rule, the idea that just putting in hours guarantees mastery. If you're a bad golfer, practicing your flawed swing for 10,000 hours just makes you a very experienced bad golfer. The secret isn't just practice, it's deliberate practice. Full concentration, clear goals for what you're improving, and crucially, a feedback loop. That's why elite athletes have coaches and dancers practice in front of mirrors. Constant feedback, spotting errors, making tiny adjustments. This kind of smart practice is like a brain workout. The fundamental exercise, Goleman suggests, has been practiced for thousands of years. Mindfulness meditation. The instruction is beautifully simple. Pay attention to your breath. When your mind wanders, and it absolutely will, gently notice it's wandered and bring it back. That's it. That simple act of noticing your mind drifted and redirecting it, that's one representative in the mental gym. Every time you do it, you're strengthening those top-down executive circuits. You're building meta-awareness, the ability to pay attention to your own attention. Goleman shows this being applied in the real world. He takes us to a school in Spanish Harlem where second graders lie on the floor with breathing buddies, little stuffed animals, on their bellies. As they breathe, they watch their buddies rise and fall. This simple game teaches them to calm their minds and focus attention. Schools using these techniques see fewer disruptions and higher test scores. He also describes the stoplight exercise for kids. When they feel angry or upset, they imagine a traffic light. Red. Stop, calm down, take a deep breath. Yellow. Think of possible solutions. Green. Try the best one. This brilliant tool teaches children how to shift from bottom-up, emotional hijacking, to top-down, thoughtful response. Goleman believes these skills are so fundamental, they should be part of every child's education. A child's self-control is a more powerful predictor of future financial success and health than their IQ or family wealth. By teaching the art of focus, we're giving them the single most important tool for a successful life. Ultimately, Goleman brings it all together in the figure of the well-focused leader. The best leaders aren't just brilliant strategists or charismatic speakers. They're the ones who can fluidly balance all 3 types of focus. Inner focus to know their values and stay true to vision. Other focus to listen, empathize, and inspire teams. Outer focus to understand complex systems and anticipate future challenges. They are, in a word, wise. And their wisdom comes not from what they know, but from how they pay attention. Stepping back to look at the big picture Goleman paints, one idea stands out with stunning clarity. Focus isn't a single skill. It's this hidden trilogy of skills, quietly working together to shape the quality of our lives. The silent engine running beneath our self-control, relationships, and understanding of the world. What I find most powerful about this book is how it reframes something we think we understand, paying attention, and reveals it as the very foundation of a well-lived life. We usually think of focus in terms of productivity, getting stuff done. And sure, it's that, but Goleman shows it's so much more. Inner focus is the root of integrity. Other focus is the root of compassion. Outer focus is the root of wisdom. In a world seemingly designed to splinter our attention into 1,000 fragments, Goleman's message feels more urgent than ever. He's not just diagnosing a problem. He's offering a practical, hopeful path forward. The idea that attention is like a muscle, trainable and strengthened through practice, is incredibly empowering. We're not helpless victims of distracted minds. With intention and effort, we can become masters of our own awareness. The lessons from the marshmallow test and the Dunedin study are profound. They should be required reading for every parent, teacher, and leader. The fact that a child's self-regulation ability is a stronger predictor of life success than IQ is revolutionary. It suggests we might be focusing on the wrong things in education. Maybe teaching kids to manage their attention is just as important, maybe more, than teaching algebra. So how can you start applying these ideas right now? It can feel overwhelming, but Goleman's approach is all about small, consistent efforts. Here are 3 simple actions you can take today. First, just practice noticing. The first step in strengthening focus is simply becoming aware when you've lost it. As you go through your day, try catching your mind when it wanders. When you're supposed to be reading but actually thinking about weekend plans, just make a gentle mental note. Wandering. That's it. No judgment. That simple act of meta-awareness is the first and most important representative in your mental workout. Second, try a 1-minute focus session. You don't need to sit on a cushion for an hour. Set a timer for 60 seconds. Close your eyes, and for that minute, do nothing but pay attention to the feeling of your breath moving in and out. Your mind will wander, even in that short time. When it does, just gently guide it back. This tiny practice, done once daily, will start strengthening those crucial top-down neural circuits. Third, when facing a decision, ask yourself the 3 questions the Dalai Lama proposes at the book's end. These questions beautifully practice the triple focus. Ask yourself, 1. Is this for me or for others? Cultivates other focus. 2. Is it for the benefit of the few or the many? Cultivates outer focus. 3. Is it for now or for the future? Cultivates long-term outer focus. These questions shift your perspective from narrow and self-centered to wider, wiser, and more compassionate. They're powerful tools for aligning actions with your deepest values. That was a summary of Focus, the Hidden Driver of Excellence, by Daniel Goleman. We've touched on core ideas today, but I'll be honest. A summary is like looking at a travel brochure. The real journey, the real transformation, happens when you visit the destination yourself. The book is packed with stories, studies, and nuances we couldn't cover. This summary is meant to be a map, showing you if this journey is worth taking. If any of the ideas we've explored, the battle in your brain, the power of empathy, the secret to self-control, have sparked something in you, I encourage you to grab a copy. Reading it isn't just about learning new information, it's about beginning the practice of seeing your own mind and the world with new clarity. The link to the book is in the description below. Also, if you've found this journey valuable and want to continue exploring ideas from the world's most impactful books, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to the channel. It lets us know we're on the right track and ensures you won't miss our next deep dive. Let's keep learning and growing together.